Welcome to our Digital Transformation podcast series, celebrating 30 years of KPMG's excellence in Romania. With digital transformation increasingly shaping business discussions, this is a great opportunity to explore how technology has influenced our specialists' work across different business lines and how, in turn, we've impacted various industries through tech integration. I'm delighted to introduce Inga Țîgai, CEE Lead Tax Technology and Partner at KPMG in Romania, who brings over 20 years of experience in the field of tax and who will share her unique perspective on this evolving landscape. Inga, can you share with us how the digital transformation journey in the field of tax began, and what are some of the most significant technology advances you have witnessed since the early days?
Today I want to take you on a journey, a 30-year journey through Romanian digital transformation, as I have experienced it as a tax consultant over 20 years of experience. From the first documents sent via fax to full integration to XML-based e-reporting, the transformation has been profound. It is not just the technology that has changed, but also the way we think about tax compliance, audits, and interactions with authorities. Looking back at the early days of my career, I can clearly remember what a typical day for me was as a consultant in a Big Four. Documents were physically submitted to the tax office, embossed stamps, countless copies, making sure nothing gets lost. Fax was the innovation of the time, so you really had to know how to use the machine. It seemed like a huge step forward when we are comparing the lines that we had to stand in at the tax administration office with what we have today. Every tax audit meant stocks of files, boxes of documents, dedicated rooms where we kept them, paper-based interpretations, and we were studying the legislation with a pen on the prints. At the time, everyone thought digitalization meant, scanning documents, right? But technology is not just about PDFs via email that we can send from our mobile phones. The real transformation came when data started to be structured and automatically analyzed. Today, this data has no language. This data is not about the Romanian language, English, Polish, Czech, or Hungarian. It is the standardized data, and this is the current state of the digital tax administration in many CE countries.
Inga, as you've mentioned the initial steps and the early technological changes, could you delve deeper into the specific challenges that came with those first attempts at digitalization and how they were overcome?
So from back then, a lot changed. The changes became visible when the change was introduced by the tax authorities through the electronic filing of tax returns. Some of these tax returns have been also changed into a single tax return. Sole tax return that we know for payroll purposes, that previously was like 6-7 different forms. The sole tax return that we do for private individuals, for personal income on an annual basis. So this is a huge step toward efficiency, right? Then Excel became our best friend. In many companies, we started automatic tax calculations, and we praised the macros that we have created. The first attempts at digitalization, therefore, were hybrid. So manually enter data in Excel, attached to PDFs, and then uploaded to a tax portal. It wasn't a true digitalization, but back then it seemed like so. So what we are missing now is the real transformation, the change of paradigm. So when we are looking at the transformation that would be at level 5, as we call it in the process of digital tax administration, we are talking the vice versa, tax authorities telling us how much we have to pay.
It's fascinating to see the journey from those early stages to where we are now. What were some of the key milestones or innovations that really accelerated this transition from hybrid digitalization to real-time reporting and automation in the field of tax?
This type of changes happened in the last 5 years, so many of our KPMG colleagues have been part of this change. Today we have reached the point where data is more valuable than documents, and we manage to put some keys to managing this data, to verifying this data at the moment of entry, right? So XML and SAFTI have transformed taxation into an ecosystem based on structured data on a single language. E-reporting is becoming the norm, and Romania has entered an era where the tax reporting is almost real-time. In fact, Romania is ahead of the pack, and the rest of the EU country will follow by 2030. Automation and AI are changing the game as well, right? This is why we have our Tax and Legal AI Fridays, because now we can identify tax anomalies in massive volumes of data in seconds. We can prompt directly in the system what we want the system to produce based on a structured information, based on the structured expectation of the result, and reducing therefore the need of such a learning curve from each new colleague from our company. In just a few years, we have moved from bring me a printed invoice or printed advice to let the AI manage this information, batch this document that maybe has 200 pages, or even, why not, maybe in a few years to validate our tax compliance.
So what could the next 30 years bring?
We cannot look at the next 30 years without remembering what was done good in the past 30 years. And this is what this interview is about, thinking of how each and every colleague of ours contributed to the KPMG digital transformation so far, and learn from this experience to drive the digital transformation further. So tax digitalization does not stop here, right? Mandatory electronic invoicing for all taxpayers in the EU will be happening by 2030, we know that. Integration of AI into tax audits. Yes, this sounds like a dream, right? But this is the ultimate goal, and the authorities will at some point have the power to analyze millions of transactions instantly. Then, what would be the future tax consultant state, where the person will no longer just be an interpreter of a tax code, but also a data architect. Today, as a tax consultant, we must already not just understand taxation, but also technology. Because even in the last 5 years, we have seen that we had this need to put these technology competencies hand in hand with tax competencies. So this is also what's going to happen in the next 10 years, when we will transition not from fax, Excel to XML, but from XML to AI native tax compliance. Romania has come a long way from this digital transformation, KPMG Romania also, but the real question that I dare everybody to answer is, are we ready for the next 30 years?
Thank you, Inga, and we're looking forward to welcoming you to the next podcast.